Good day, everyone. Today we are going to embark on a new journey of learning how language shapes our lives every day. Now, before I formally introduce our topic for today, I would like to introduce myself first. I am Nishanti Bihayoma, or you can call me Teacher Shan or Miss Shan. Now, I am your discussant for today. Our topic is entitled Task Based Language Teaching or TBLT and the Principled Ecleticism. And because our main topic for today talks and tackles about teaching second language, I would like to first discuss about SLT or second language teaching in education. It is the study and application of pedagogical approaches, methodologies, and theories for teaching a second language. Meaning, if our aim is to teach an individual to acquire a second language, we really have to put an effort on using frameworks, the pedagogical approaches in teaching, wherein there is a structure, a process in teaching the language on that certain individual, and also applying the methods, different methods in teaching to cater those individuals' needs, and the theories to be applied on how we are going to teach them. In teaching second language, there are really many different methods. One of them is the task-based language teaching, or TBLT, is an approach of language education that uses meaningful, goal-oriented tasks. Now, when we say meaningful, we are going to give our student tasks that really make sense, especially in the real world, in real life. They could really apply that in real life, in different situations. TBLT is also a set of tasks that allow students to learn that certain language through doing it. And later I will provide different examples, classroom examples on how this approach really works. Now, the main goal of task-based language teaching is that students would be participating, students will collaborate, students will do their part in order for them to learn the language, especially when the language they are already using is their L1 and they have to adjust in order for them to acquire a new one. Now, the main goal of this approach is for students to learn the language by completing tasks, activities, participating and collaborating, and it allows them to independently finish their tasks without relying on the teacher or the instructor present. Now, it also makes the classroom more interactive when we try to encourage our students to participate, to do their activities on their own. It is also a practice for them to use language not just on their comfort zone but also outside. Now, to delve deeper, who created TBLT? Natisan S. Prabhu is an Indian English language teacher and also a researcher who created the task-based language teaching or the TBLT. It is based on his Bangalore project back in India in 1980s, wherein he focused on giving his students task-based activities, allowing them to really do or complete those on their own. As I have said earlier, it is really engaging. Students will really do their best use their critical thinking skills, evaluation, and analyzation skills in order for them to complete a task and also learn the second language on their own. And peer collaboration also contributes to that, as it helps them to speak with one another using that language. Therefore, it practices them to really be fluent in speaking them. Now, let's move on to the core principles and characteristics of TBLT. Now, first is meaningful learning, wherein the focus is on using the language to complete or accomplish a task. Because in TBLT, it doesn't really matter if a student cannot speak perfectly and having a perfect grammar, but as long as it is intelligible enough, as long as it can be understood, it is acceptable, and it also allows the student to adjust as time goes by, because learning isn't just a one-time thing, it is a process. And for students, learning is a gradual process. And some individuals, especially children, have different levels of acquiring knowledge. You have to cater those differences in a way that won't pressure them and will also allow them to really engage on the activities that you are going to give. Second, authentic communication. Tasks are structured to mirror real-life situations. Of course, when we are going to give our students tasks, we should really think of it and think of the situations that could really practice them to solve problems that could be applied on real-life situations. We have to give them tasks that is connected to real-life situations so that they can be able to apply those when time comes that it happens on them personally in real life. We really have to practice our students to be practical, to be effective when deciding or having decisions, and also so that they can use it someday on their professional journey. Third is student-centered. Creates a more interactive and collaborative learning environment. Of course, as I have discussed, task-based is really participative approach. Third is student-centered. It creates a more interactive and collaborative learning environment. Of course, as I have said earlier, teachers should not spoon-feed students, but instead give them tasks that really allows them to be independent, to think on their own, to learn on their own through their experiences on that certain activity. Moving on to the next slide, TBLT emphasizes communicative competence, meaning the ability to convey meaning instead of really practicing or not practicing but mastering grammatical accuracy. Yes, because students have different pacing in learning, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to accommodate their strengths and weaknesses, and we understand that in teaching language, it is not always perfect in the first part. As I have said, it is a process, step-by-step process. The goal is for the learners to use the language naturally and effectively in real-life situations. As long as it is understandable, then it is acceptable. But we should also not disregard the right grammar or the correct grammar when speaking, but still, we should not disregard the importance of grammar. The correct use of grammar and vocabulary and pronunciation are still important, of course. We are just prioritizing intelligibility in TBLT. Moving on to the next slide, the examples, the real-life examples. allowing students to collaborate and solve a specific problem. As what I have said earlier, this is the best example of TBLT, wherein they have to work on that certain tasks, and use the language in order to complete that. It practices them, it allows them to adjust. Second, engage in role playing to practice language skills in realistic contexts. Role playing is also one of the best example actually for me personally, as I have experienced that almost every day in our class. We have to role play in English, and my first language before is Filipino. It is a challenge for me and also for my teammates, because they have also to adjust. They have to adjust because I am not really that good in English. Yet I am trying my best. I have my own pacing, and my teacher really appreciates the process of me working on to master that language. Lastly, I think I forgot to include this, but one of the good activities to integrate in our class in TBLT approach teaching second language is debates, of course. When we allow our students to have a friendly and healthy when we allow our students to have a friendly and healthy exchange of ideas, exchange of standpoints and such in different language, it allows them to practice that language aside from their L1 or their native mother tongue, their native language, mother tongue. Debate is also a mind-boggling activity that really would allow them to think deeply, to think and analyze the situations. And it can also be used in real life, as it allows them to research topics and study it. Now, to conclude this topic, TBLT really practices students in real life situations while also allowing them to adjust and work on their own, to learn the second language on their own without the 100% help of the teacher. But of course, teachers should guide their students along the process. Moving on to our second topic for today, the principled eclecticism. Now, what is it all about, teacher? So the definition is, principled eclecticism refers to the approach of strategically combining different language teaching techniques and activities, guided by a coherent set of principles rather than methods used in isolation. Now, in this approach, we are trying to explore different methods. We should not only stick to one, but we have to really discover different methods that could effectively enhance our way of teaching our students the second language. Not just relying solely on one method, but we have to really explore on what caters them the most, what approach works on them more efficiently. Now, eclecticism. The word eclecticism is derived from the Greek word eklektikos, meaning selecting the best. We have to choose from different methods or approach in teaching in order for us to really help our students learn. Because as I have discussed back on our first topic, students have different pacing. Students have different capabilities and skills. Therefore, it is our duty, it is our duty to cater it to address it properly. Now, who created this approach? The term principle of eclecticism was coined by Diane Larson Freeman in year 2000. So, she is an American linguist born in Michigan in the year of 1946, professor in Emerita in Education in University of Michigan. Now, this person is the one who discovered or created eclecticism as a way of teaching second language in students. In this approach, activities are chosen to be logically connected, meaning these are not just random activities that we want to give to our students just because we think it is good and we like to give it to them, but we really have to assess, we have to evaluate. As teachers, we have to follow or check what is really the right way of teaching them. Some students are really relying on their auditory senses. Some are really good at visualizing, and there are a lot of differences when it comes to students' strengths and weaknesses. We have to think of a way on how we are able to address these diversity differences. Second, techniques are applied to lift specific learning environment and learners' backgrounds. Learners have different preference for our students to really put their attention, their focus, to catch up on the discussion. Third, a wide variety of activities are used, including drills, guided discovery, communicative tasks, drawing from the strengths of different methods. Allow students to adjust their strategies based on students' progress and needs in real time. Now, of course, we have to monitor our students if they are really learning or not. We have to check on them, their needs, if they are really having a progress in learning their second language. Now, how does principled eclecticism is connected in SLA or second language acquisition? Principled eclecticism is a teaching approach that combines various teaching methods. Instead of one method, we try different approaches like communicative language teaching, grammar translations, task-based learning, and more. It is very flexible, it is very diverse, and it is also a good part for us teachers that we don't really have to stick on one method only, and we are properly informed, or we also know how to be able to deliver lessons differently on different students. Now, this is for the students who really needs to practice their speaking, because drills allows them to become active, and a smooth transition from drills to task-based activities allows them to apply what they have learned, how to pronounce properly, and use it into a communicative context wherein they have to speak, to listen and then speak. They have to converse using that certain language. Practices them, it allows them to become confident, to master the structure, grammatical structure of that language. Second, when teaching a new grammar rule, teacher could use guided discovery to help students figure out, followed by written exercises for accuracy, and translation activity to connect it to their native language. This is a good one because you are trying to make your students be comfortable by integrating their native language. And it really demonstrates creativity, as students will write and then translate it to their language that they often use. It is very enjoyable and interactive. Even though they are just writing, it allows them to be comfortable enough as their native language is integrated along the process. The last example is In a reading comprehension lesson, a teacher might incorporate music to create a more relaxed environment, but also to improve acquisition, especially for lower level learners. Okay, in this part, some learners might really have a hard time to catch up, right? And because we are trying to improve the reading comprehension, as it is one of the basic structures in learning a language, of course we have to think of a twist. As teachers, think of a way to solve that problem. And as And as creative as we are, of course, we have come up in different ideas, such as adding music, because some students really improve their progress when there is a music. Some students like it when it is very silent, very quiet, but some enjoys when there are melodies, sounds around. We have to utilize that. We have to really do our part to improve their learning. Now, to conclude this topic, Principles of Ecleticism in Second Language Acquisition provides a flexible and adaptive framework for language teaching and learning. Why? Because as teachers, we are trying to adapt on our students' different needs, different strengths and weaknesses. We are trying to cater them all, to address them in different ways that is applicable to them. We always have to prioritize their needs, and we have to think of a good alternative, a way on how we are able to address them. By using various methods, techniques, educators can improve their approaches to meet the diverse needs of their students. Lastly, eclecticism helps both teachers and learners to navigate the challenges of second language acquisition with confidence and success. Students are not just the ones who are learning here, but also us teachers who were also immersed in really thinking of a new strategy to help them learn second language. Now that is my discussion for today. I would like to thank you all for listening. Thank you for really trying to understand our topic for today. Before I end this video, I would like to remind you that learning is a gradual process, and there is no limit in acquiring languages and new words every day. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.